No, they wouldn't let me do anything like 3 months ago. That's bad.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this Thursday, October 19th, 2023 Boone County Board meeting to order. Begin with, if everyone will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your Heavenly Father, bless us as we come together tonight to do the county's business. Let us all show compassion and order. Let us all work together for a common cause for the citizens of Boone County. Bless our military, first responders, retired and active, that they may safely do their jobs and protect us to the best of their abilities. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Madam Clerk, if you would, roll call, please.
Rodney, Riley,
Here.
Ryan Curry,
Here.
Ray Larson,
Here.
Frank Mueller,
Here.
Brian Snyder,
Here.
David Wiltsey,
Here.
Carl Johnson,
Here.
Elisa Patterson,
She's here and she's online.
Tom Wahlberg,
Here.
Sherry Branson, here, Dana Logston,
Here.
Marion Thornberry.
Here.
All right, very good. I'd like to entertain a motion to allow Elisa Patterson to participate in tonight's meeting via Zoom. Mr. Mueller, second.
Second.
By Mr. Wahlberg. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Welcome, Elisa.
Thank you.
All right, 3.1, approval of the agenda. And before I ask for a motion on the agenda approval, I'm going to remove item 5.1, appointments for tonight. So with that in mind, I'd entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda as posted.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. I have no minutes this evening. We are going to go on to 5.2, Domestic Violence Awareness Proclamation. And I have in my hand here a proclamation, and I believe it's going to be accepted tonight on behalf of the Domestic Violence Coalition.
The Family Violence
Coordinating
Council.
Coordinating Council, very good. So with that in mind, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 1st through October 31st, 2023. In Boone County, in recognition of the important work done by survivors, domestic violence programs, and victim service providers, I urge all citizens to actively participate in scheduled activities and programs sponsored by the Family Violence Coordinating Council and other community organizations to work toward the elimination of all forms of domestic violence. Whereas across the U.S. and its territories, more than 10 million adults experience domestic violence annually. On a typical day, domestic violence hotlines nationwide receive over 19,000 calls, and whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole, here in this community and throughout the United States and the world, and whereas domestic violence crosses all socioeconomic lines, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender, age, education, employment, and marital status. And whereas in the state of Illinois, 3,227 domestic violence victims are served in one day, including seeking assistance in emergency shelters, transitional housing, counseling, legal advocacy, and support groups. And whereas in the year 2022, the Boone County Sheriff's Department and the Belvedere Police Department received approximately 725 calls for domestic-related incidents. In addition, over 276 emergency orders of protection were requested in Boone County. And whereas Boone County joins with others across Illinois and the nation in supporting the victims of domestic violence, as well as local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide who are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and sending a clear message to abusers that domestic violence is not tolerated in Boone County. Now therefore, I, Rodney Riley, Chairman of the Boone County Board, hereby do proclaim October of 2023 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I will sign that later, the official copy, and present it to you as the Family Violence Coordinating Council.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. All right, moving on to public comment. I've got a number of sheets here, so we'll get started. When I read your name, please approach the microphone as normal. Give your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. I will start with Terry Rossi. Terry? Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Terry Rossi. I live at 5053 Shattuck Road, here, Illinois. In the Boone County rodeo issue controversy, there are two entities that are in a unique position to comment about it. And one is the Shark Organization, because they've been investigating American and Mexican style rodeos for more than 30 years. And the other is the Mexican Federation of Charreria. The two are kind of opposed organizations, but they speak with one voice in their condemnation of what's going on in Boone County, Illinois counties. Mr. Edward Ramirez is a charro, a professional charro, who I think has sent you an email, and he is also a founding member of one of the first two charro associations in the US. And he has called the rodeos that are occurring here, or the people that are participate in them, rogues and wannabes and brutes, not because he disdains Mexican culture, but because he loves it so much. Mr. Ramirez knows what is happening and knows it does not honor Mexican heritage, but rather insults it. He has said that there's an enormous schism between the equestrian skills of the professional Mexican charro and those who can barely straddle a horse with a beer can in hand. Perhaps that's why so many contestants have had beers in their hands, so that they can try to balance themselves from one side to the other. I don't know. But why are these events being supported? And he would like us to consider the words of an actual charro. He does not respect the cruelty that goes on in Boone County, and nor do I. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, I have Dara McGinnis. Dara, if you'd step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Dara McGinnis, 10861 Spring Road, Garden Prairie. Good evening. I am here tonight to speak in regards to, I think it's 11.2. You guys are going to be discussing public comment rules and procedures, and changing the information on here of how a member of the public or the county board can address during public comment. Staff is recommending this. We have not seen anything yet from IT. We can see and understand that flash drives will be an issue in the future because of potential viruses. But I cannot see, and we cannot see, why there would be an issue with submitting something ahead of time via email, like we have done in the past. Myself, my husband, my son have presented in the past PowerPoint presentations of information that was very important for you all to see prior to either a vote or something that was coming up. There were no issues in the past. If you're worried about viruses coming through, I understand, again, the flash drive situation. But if you're worried about viruses coming through via email, attachments, things like that, your network, our network, the public network that we support should be a pandemic. All the information that has been sent to everybody here in the county, there should be unbelievable amount of problems, and you have had none that we're aware of. The public pays for this building. Boone County residents pay for this equipment. They pay for staff. I think that we need to set back, look at this, ask questions of why staff is doing this, not just trust staff and their ideas. Is that one person, like we've seen in the past, their idea, or many people? It says here we cannot use the audio equipment, but we are allowed to use the whiteboard. If we were to bring in our own equipment, I think that's going to be more obstructive to the meeting than it would be to, again, allow us to do what we've done in the past. I'm thinking of the future of people that may be fighting a special use permit against something else in the future, that they will not be able to present like we were in the past. And it's not fair to them just because something has gone wrong here during the past year and a half of all the information that we've been passing on and passing through. So think about this when you're passing this for the public, the people that pay, the people that live here, that pay taxes, that want to come in the future, that want to come in the future to present to you, not just what's going on right now, right here, today. Thank you.
Much. I have Steve Hendy. Steve, if you would approach the microphone, your full name and address for the record, sir. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Steve Hindy, 43W799 Oak Leaf Drive, Melbourne, Illinois. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Buy the Lie event. The lie is that the county wants to protect its equipment by banning the use of a streaming projector by citizens during public comment. The truth is that certain board members and bureaucrats want to keep the public from seeing illegal rodeo use that those board members and bureaucrats are protecting. The following email excerpts were obtained through the Freedom of Information. The emails prove that Buy the Lie is about stealing our First Amendment rights, not about equipment security. March 16, 2023, Boone County Board Member Elisa Patterson asks and is allowed to play a video supporting private rodeos on the county's projector during public comment. Easy peasy. March 30, Jane Gordon calls County Administrator Becky Tobin and asks to play a video during public comment, just like Elisa Patterson. But Ms. Gordon doesn't get the easy peasy. Tobin emails State's Attorney Tricia Smith and Carla Mayville. Jane Gordon called me yesterday and asked me if she could play a video during public comment. I am assuming it's about rodeos. Let me know your thoughts. Mayville to Tobin, I don't think there's anything that requires us to allow her to use our equipment. I'd lean toward a firm no on that, because if we allow her to do it, we would have to allow anyone who asked. Tobin to Mayville and Smith, I worry about Pandora's box. Elisa was allowed to do it at county board, but she's also a board member. So that could be our reasoning for that. Mayville to Tobin and Smith. Yep. Elisa's a board member. That's totally different. False. Everyone in public comment is at the same level. April 5, Daryl Mogenis sends an email to Becky Tobin asking to play videos public comment, just like Elisa Patterson. Tobin to Mayville and Smith. How do you want me to respond? I already told Jane Gordon she could not play a video at the meeting. Mayville to Tobin and Smith. I would tell her the same thing you told Jane. Mayville to Tobin and Smith. I've emailed Dara and asked her for more information regarding the content of the video. Mayville to Tobin and Smith. It's up to Rodney, but my advice to him would be to not allow it. Tobin to Dara. What is the content of the video? Tobin to Chairman Riley and Smith. All the 4-H kids are going to be at the meeting tomorrow night, so I don't think we want Dara to show a graphic video of any kind. Tobin to Mayville and Smith. I have emailed Dara and asked for more information regarding the content of the video. Tobin to Dara. We want to be very careful about any video content. The illegal animal abuse at these private rodeos is ugly, but the answer is not to trash the First Amendment.
Mr. Handy,
Stop the cruelty.
Mr. Handy, your 3 minutes are up, sir.
By the lie tonight, you show the world that Boone County is where truth, justice, and American values go to die.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. All right, next up I have Mary Burbach. Did I say that right?
If possible, I would like to speak at 10.2 with my special use permit.
You don't wish to speak during public comment?
I wish to speak at 10.2 with my special use permit.
That's fine.
I just advise them in case.
Okay, all right, very good. I'll hold on to this then, Mary. Thank you. All right, next up I have Jason Grissom.
Same thing.
Very good.
The attorney for the applicant.
I understand. Yep, very good. All right, next up I have Richard Wolf. Richard, would you please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir, and you have 3 minutes.
Richard Wolf, 9698 Spring Road. This issue with concerts and steer tailing could have been taken care of a year and a half ago. If the concert ordinance had been enforced as written in the permitted use, concerts are to be held in B1, B2, not A1 zoning. There's no permitted use for dance halls. What's going on here in Boone County? These ordinances were here before I even came to public speaking a year and a half ago. Complaints were filed by myself and many others. I've gone to the building department, filed verbal and written complaints. Many different people spoke at public comment to complain. Police non-emergency number has been called to complain. As a complaint-driven county, what is a complaint? I've done all those things. Many others have come and said, this is what's going on. A local backyard rodeo location here in Boone County had a concert on Saturday, this last August or September, claiming it was a benefit for a church. Again, this concert was in A1 zoning. Police were called, owner told the officer they had a permit. Who's allowing this? Revoke permits. It doesn't have to go to a court of law. Just revoke permits to these people that want to keep abusing animals against the state law and having concerts in A1. Recent videos of the local backyard rodeos show the wannabe riders, contestants, pulling the tail of a steer are not wearing bib numbers. Why? Oh, I guess the wording in the ordinance enables these rodeos not to wear them. Why? Some of you, I wish you could answer the question, why? Vote to any new amendment to public speaking, vote no, please. If an email can be read by public speaking by the chairman, or if I wish to yield my time for 3 minutes to someone else, neither of these are in the policy as not okay. Public speaking lets the public hear another point of view. Boone County is better than this. Do the right thing and enforce. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else for public comment?
Mr. Chairman, you have Ms. Eisnitz's comment, yes?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Dale Eisnitz, she sent you a comment,
I don't have anything here.
okay?
Okay. Did you get anything else? No. Okay. Gotta shut that off. Okay, moving along then. 7.1, general consent items. Need a motion to approve the general consent items?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Curry, second by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, 8.1, Council on Aging. Elisa, do you have a report for us this evening?
Just that we had the 50-year anniversary. It was a wonderful success, I think, for that part of the community. And Senator Severson was there, and a couple of other of our local political people, but it was at one point it was standing room only. So it was a very good turnout, and I'm hoping that it brings a little bit more awareness to the great things that facility is doing in the county.
All right, very good. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Patterson? All right, seeing none, thank you. We will move on to 8.2, growth dimensions. Is Pam on the line?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All right. Go ahead, Pam.
Good
Welcome.
evening. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. You may have in front of you my report. I'm sorry I was traveling today, so didn't have time to make it in person. But I wanted to share with you a few highlights. We've had about 130 business projects yet this year that are currently active. Our economic impact has been 3 million in square footage, 1,000 permanent jobs, and about 1.5 billion in investment for those that have been announcements. Also, you may have received a packet of a brochure that we use for our enterprise zone. We revised this to go with the new enterprise zone programs and the level of benefits. We also included other incentives that are available in our state and our community. So, to date, we've had about 50 businesses that we're working with, about 94 projects, and nearly 400 million, in enterprise zone and capital investment projects. So we're seeing a lot of activity. Some of that activity has been with Midwest Refrigeration Services. They did purchase property near Irene Road. We are working with the City of Belvedere and Midwest Refrigeration Services to submit a CDBG grant. That is in the process of review by the state. So we hope that if we receive this grant, we'll actually be able to announce a project here. This is a project that we were competing with Wisconsin. We also recently submitted a project with a company that is looking for about 80 acres for light manufacturing and assembly use. We talked about in the past how quickly sometimes these projects, we need to turn around information. I received this project yesterday and I had to submit something by 10 a.m. this morning. So contacting all the utility providers and gathering all the information that they needed in a really quick period of time was essential. We're also being considered for a project with a Chinese company interested in expanding its corn wet mill operations. This is for a biofermentation plant that will create quality, cost-effective nutrition ingredients. So if we do get this project, that would mean 240 jobs and about 750 million in investment. Both of these last two projects that I mentioned, we have been contacted by the state in order to follow up on. In the past, we've always had to submit RFIs. It's getting to the point where we're being identified in advance through our marketing by these businesses, specifically for our area. So we're really starting to gain more attention as a potential location in Illinois. Some other projects that we've been engaged in is one of our own. We're going to be starting construction for our relocation for the Growth Dimensions office to 982 Belvedere Road. We just got the permit late last week, and we're going to be start build out pretty soon. We hope to be able to occupy that space by the end of November and have an open house for everybody in December. A couple of the things that we're working on is we're working with Rock Valley College in order to engage employer outreach and participation in their next generation manufacturing day, and that's going to be on October 30th. And this event is to really help students ages 13 to 18 get that opportunity to get some interactive experience in the manufacturing industry. And we're also holding our third annual ACE, which is our Accelerating Creatives and Entrepreneurs Conference and Expo. And that's going to be on November 7th at Rockford University, the Puri School of Business. This is to provide aspiring and new businesses, innovators and creators with the resources that they need in order to start and grow. That's all I have for today.
Great. Anyone have any questions for us? Mentions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much for your report, Pam.
Thank you.
8.3, CASA. Mr. Curry, you have a report for us this evening, or?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. We currently have 68 children in our program with 22 advocates. We definitely need more advocates, unfortunately, with the number of children that we have. The next advocate training will be held in January, and you can go to BooneCountyCASA.org, I believe it is, to get information on that and contact Charlotte. Will be, let's see, be doing chamber trick or treat next Wednesday and are gearing up for hometown Christmas. So lots of volunteer opportunities if you want to reach out. Thank you.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Curry? All right, thank you very much. 8.4, Region 1 Planning Council. We don't have anyone on the phone from R1, do we, Aaron? Nope. I have nothing else to report from R1 for this month. Moving on to new business, 9.1. I need a motion to approve the proposal from Did I do it wrong? Whitley, sorry, to provide consulting services on internal control policies and procedures.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Branson, second by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion, or we'll turn it over to Ms. Tobin for a little background on this. Go ahead.
Sure. So I think I told you at a previous meeting that I was going to be speaking with Whitley about helping us with some policy and procedures regarding internal controls for many of our different departments here at the county. What you have before you is two proposals. The first proposal is an accounting procedure manual. So with this proposal, they will actually go department to department and help write those internal control policies for the department. That's the specific steps that are taken regarding cash, payroll, any of those types of policies that need to be put in place depending on which department it is. The second proposal would take those policies and procedures and then create a larger, more general policy that would come then before the board, and then the board would actually be voting on that policy, put that policy in place. So with this particular part of the policy, I think we would only need to go as far as the leverage, which is the lowest amount of money, which would be close to 10,000. But this would take all of the APMs, which is your procedures that you've helped each department come up with, and create a document for the board regarding a policy and procedures manual. So they would just give us one draft. This includes a 90-minute virtual session, to ask questions and some more guidance. And then we would be responsible for writing the remainder of that policy in-house between myself and legal. And I think we could do that. So my request would be from proposal number 1 would be the $20,000 request would be documents up to 10 functions. It's hourly, so we may not use all of it. It just kind of depends what the needs are in each department. And then from the second proposal, it would be that first option, which would be up to 10,000. So I think at this point in time, we'd be looking at about $30,000. And this would come out of contingencies.
And the motion to make it not more than 30,000 then?
Correct. It could be a motion not to exceed 30,000.
Okay, so do we need to amend the motion then?
Yes, because I wasn't sure based on what was presented, what the dollar amount was going to be, but we should be as big as possible.
Yeah, I didn't have that until yesterday, so I just made sure we had it on the agenda.
Okay, so do we we'll amend the motion then, not in excess of 30,000?
Correct.
On this particular project, would someone like to make that motion?
Also, make the motion to amend it to.
Mr. Mueller will make a motion, cap the spending at 30,000 on this. Is that how I want to put it? How we want to put it? Okay.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed. Thank you. Not to exceed 30,000. Is that your motion, Mr. Mueller?
Yes.
All right. Second, Mr. Curry, did I hear you right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Any discussion on the amendment to this motion? Okay. Seeing none, I believe we'll take a roll call on the
This one you can do a voice vote on
voice
because it's
vote
just
on
the
just
amendment.
the amendment on the, okay,
Yes.
very good. All right, so we'll take a voice vote on the amendment at this time. So all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Okay, the amended motion carries. So with that being said, then we have the original motion on the floor with a motion and a second. Is there any discussion based on what Ms. Tobin explained to us? Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Just curious, I'm assuming we went to Whitley because they do our auditing currently.
Correct.
And just a question for the state's attorney, if I could. I just want to make sure that because we don't have any other pricing here, I want to make sure that that's okay legally to not have any other pricing because special circumstances with this, we already have a contract with them, those kinds of things. That way we don't need to go with any bids or RFP or anything like that.
Correct. I would say we already have a contract.
We have a contract for them to provide services to us.
I know, but this is $30,000 additional, so I want to make sure that we're not required by law to do any kind of bid or RFP on something different that goes outside that scope.
No, I don't believe so.
And if I could, this is also considered a professional service, not something that would go to bid anyway. It would be an RFQ, a request for qualifications, if we did go that route.
Mr. Thornberry?
Hi, just in response to Carl's question, anytime you're doing business with a company and you extend a contract, you don't have to go out for bids because you're staying with the same company. You're just extending the contract. But why aren't we going for the maximum here instead of the least? Because based on all the stuff that's been going on here in the county in the last few years, I think you'd be looking for something more than just something to scratch the surface with. Why not go to something that's really going to stop what's happening?
I could.
Go ahead.
Well, I think we are going to the max as far as each department, which I think is where a lot of the issues are, is that each of your departments do not have the proper written policies and procedures. So we are doing the max for that. The larger, more broad policy that the board will approve, until I see it, I think it's something, we're going to get a draft of it. So I think from that draft, I feel confident that we would be able to come up with a document for you to approve. If at that time we feel like we need more help, I can always come back to the board and ask to go that additional step if we feel that we need it. I just feel at this time, it might be too early to determine that we can't do the rest of that ourselves.
Anyone else? Mr. Wahlberg.
Just for clarification, because there's two different documents here and the numbers are very similar. You proposed 20,000 and 10,000, correct?
Correct. On the accounting procedures manual
Is
20. That's the max.
That is the maximum amount. And then the second document is the procedures manual, and that you're doing the lower level for 10,000, correct?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else, any comments on this? All right, seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Moving along, 9.2. I will entertain a motion to approve the low electric renewal bid through Rock River Energy Services for a 12-month term for county facilities.
So
Motion by Mr. Thornberry, second by Mr. Wahlberg. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
yes.
and Rodney Riley.
Yes. Motion carries. 9.3, entertain a motion to approve purchasing card for Aaron Schwartzbach. Did I say that right? All right, in probation. Motion by Mr. Wiltsey. Second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Mr. Walberg.
I noticed in the past that these always had credit limits on them in the documentation. I don't see that here. I mean, could that be clarified or for the minutes?
It's in there.
Did I miss it? Abe?
It's 5,000. Somewhere.
Yep, three.
I read it last
Sorry,
night.
page 3. No problem. No, that's fine. I'm glad you.
I'll work
Sorry.
with that.
No problem. Any other discussion on this topic? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Committee of the Whole Administration, Mr. Larson, if you would make your motions for those.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 10.1. I motion to approve TA 18-2023, section 2.3 ZBA 2.7 SUP.
All right. Motion by Mr. Larson, second. Second by Mr. Mueller. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brett Mueller,
Aye.
Ryan Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Larson?
Item 10.2, I motion to approve extension 13-2018 FFP IL Community Solar LLC Solar Panel Project.
Motion by Mr. Larson, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Branson. Any discussion?
The applicant, speak on this.
You would like to step forward, ma'am? Speak on your project? State your name and address for the record, if you would, please.
Most certainly.
Thank you.
I am Mary Burbach, owner of Susie's Garden Patch and treasurers of Three Sister 85 Inc., the landowner of 10258 US Highway 20 in Garden Prairie, Illinois. I know that I stand before a board that is divided on the solar farm issue, and whether our county is a good fit for such things. However, I do know that each and every one of you has the best interest of the future of Boone County agriculture in your mind. I ask for each of you to be open-minded about our case. Each location for a proposed solar farm is unique. To my knowledge, I am the only landowner that has ever spoken to the board about our want for a solar farm. My sisters and I, along with my mom, have the best interest of our farm at heart. I can tell you that since the passing of the new recommendations for solar farms in our county, ours falls into those recommendations category. I wholeheartedly agree that some sites are better than others. Our site has at least a score of 82.5. It is sandy loam. We only have basically about 40 acres tillable. To get somebody to come and lease with the large equipment is much harder than what it used to be in years past. I will also state that the majority of the other sites here in this county are owned by corporations or millionaires who truly have no heart or passion for our county. That is not the case here. In the 38 years that my family has owned this land, we have only done what we see fit to preserve the land for the next generation. As a farmer, I know being a steward of this land is important. My land borders a conservation district. We have been diligent in working with Dan Kane and Josh Sage now in deciding what natural flora needs to be planted on this site to have a positive impact on the fauna that resides. If you as a board decide to extend our special use permit so the building can happen, you will notice Forefront is already in the process of finalizing all the building permits. This also allows my family to set up the preservation of the land for future generations. We are not a family who inherited the land, but one who has worked and continues to work for the betterment of our farm. In the 38 years, that is exactly what we have done and we continue to do. Throughout this whole process, Jason and I have been upfront and honest with each and every one of you. You can see we have never changed companies, never changed who we dealt with. I've heard you as board members state, why not just use your own money? I challenge those board members to show me a business or businesses who have not applied for grants, requested federal or state funding, or went in search of loans and backing. A business never starts a capital project without such funding. There are situations that are out of our control that gave us setbacks, but yet we persevered through them, such as COVID and the Illinois state government changing the lotteries and more. We see the light at the end of the tunnel finally. It's there. Just because it's not on your timetable doesn't mean that we should be told to stop or go back. I'm also heard board members state, make them go back and start at the beginning because it will bring in more money for the permit applications. We will be paying for the building permits, and the sooner this is built, the more tax dollars, the more jobs that will be coming to our community. In delaying this, it will only delay those tax dollars and the possibility that this county may never see those increased tax dollars. All I ask of you is to be open-minded, look at our farm on its own merit, and help my family continue our farming legacy for future generations.
Thank you very much. Attorney, did you wish to speak on the matter? Or?
I'm really just here to answer questions.
Okay.
For the board. Do you have any?
Does anyone have any questions for the attorney or the applicant? Mr. Wilson.
My understanding is last time you were before us, there was that question about.
Second, Mr. Wilson, hang on. Why don't you come on up to the microphone, sir? Do me a favor, state your firm for the record, please.
My name is Jason Grissom. My address is 4415 Twisted Tree, Austin, Texas.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson, please go ahead.
Thank you. So my understanding last time when we talked, there was some questions about whether in January or February, when you had got the extension, that you said that was your last request. And my understanding is that you have clarified that. Could you expound on that, please?
Yes, sir. I went back to the county board meeting minutes and I sent them to Jessica, but I didn't say that I was asked. I had the actual meeting minutes. I don't think I brought them up here. Do you mind if I go get them and read what was said?
Sure.
To clarify? Okay. Yeah, so in January, there really wasn't much at the county board. There wasn't much discussion on it. We were approved 10 yays to 1 nay. Ray Larson asked if this was only for a 1-year extension. If funding was not available, will they apply again? And the applicant, me, stated yes, they would. So basically, that's what we're doing right now is we're applying for an extension. The only difference is we have the award now and we're just asking for time to build the project because we have to be operational per the approval. So that was from the meeting minutes.
Any follow-up, Mr. Wilson?
So nothing has changed in your circumstances. You didn't win the lottery the first time. You waited patiently for the state's thing to come around. What was the vote on the extension in the minutes?
10 yes, 1 no.
Thank you.
Anyone, Mr. Johnson, please.
Just to make sure I'm 100% clear. So you have the award now. The project is set to go forward. Construction's ready to start once you have this extension and you're able to purchase the permits. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how long do you think construction will take?
We're shooting to start construction in the spring of 2024. It'll probably take about 8 months.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Wilson?
Will some of that 40 acres still be tillable or what portion of this property?
We're using 13 acres of a 50-acre parcel.
And will that be in the north or what? Your comment?
Where the acreage is right on the east border of our property. It's on the north side of the railroad tracks. So it's a solid, if he took the whole portion, it'd be a solid 20 acres, but he's only taking approximately 16 to 17, which would leave 3 acres. And then I still have approximately 25 acres left to till. And I currently farm about 10 to 12 of that, depending on what size my pumpkin patch is.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Mueller?
I had a meeting with another solar company yesterday, and we had a discussion about the utility company, and they were talking about, the discussion led to the utility companies are just not ready for the solar. They're working on it. I think a delay would help bring the utility companies, because they are putting voltage regulators in the area. On our feeder coming out of Garden Prairie, there's 17 voltage regulators. There was only 6 voltage regulators in the past. They need more time to get this system updated. They need to run new power lines. I'm still going to vote no for this project. I think we need a little more delay so the utility company can catch up to what they need to do. So that's where I stand.
I just wanted to say that we do have a signed interconnection agreement with ComEd, and understand that, they do need to do their work. We're working actively with ComEd. We have monthly meetings with them on their infrastructure, because they've got to install 2 poles for the interconnect. So we are actively working with them on their design and to make sure it doesn't overload the grid.
Yep. Mr. Johnson, please.
A couple of things. One, I guess if I could ask Ms. Silberhorn a question. It's my understanding that this project will help you and your family keep this farm in your family and continue working as a farm. Is that correct?
That is correct. As we look at modern agriculture equipment, it's larger and constantly gets larger because you want to farm larger lands. Our acreage is only, it used to be 86 and a half until we sold the 25 acres to the conservation district. And that puts us down to 56 and a half. Trying to find somebody to farm the 30 acres that I do not is hard, because it is such a smaller land acreage, and the equipment is not such to deal with smaller acreage. Not only that, because I do have sandy loam soil and it's not irrigated, it's even harder to find somebody to farm, because their basic, like this year was a drought. It wasn't exactly the best for the crops to grow and whatnot. And not only that, if you look at prime dollar for acreage rental in the state of Illinois or even Boone County, I don't even get that for my land to help keep it in farming capability. So there's things in the works that you guys don't know that this will help my family do for future generations to keep this farm here. And not only that, our particular farm is part of Garden Prairie history. It's one of the original farmsteads for Old Amesville. And that's what we're trying to do also, is preserve that and preserve the history.
Thank you. Go ahead. If I could, it just, I guess just responding to the comments that were just recently made, I think the state has made an edict that they want X number of wattages or percentages of energy coming from whether solar or wind or some other form of green energy. They put ultimatums out there. If ComEd can't keep up, that's not these people's problems or anybody else's problem. If ComEd can't keep up, they need to get their butt in gear and get going. And if they can't, then the state needs to put pressure on them to get going. So punishing an individual landowner for ComEd's inefficiencies, I think, is inappropriate. And that's what I think that would be. Delaying this would be a punishment to them. On the other hand, also, or in the same vein also, one of the things we hear complaints about all the time is about, well, this person doesn't even live here. This person owns this land and they're in Chicago or they're in Utah or heaven knows where. This is a local landowner that's been here forever. They want to do this on their property. It's going to help them preserve their farm. I can't think of a better situation. I've said many times, if a farmer comes in and they have 200 acres and putting 40 acres in a solar farm helps them keep that other 160 acres in production and in farm ground and in that family, that's a win-win. Otherwise, maybe they'll say, screw it and sell it for houses, and then none of it's farmland. We complain about taking farmland out, and I understand that we can't take all our farmland out, but farmers take farmland out of production every day. They either turn it to hay ground, they send it to CRP, they do all sorts of things. So in this instance, I think this is an excellent opportunity to continue and let these people keep their farm, keep its heritage, and keep it in the family. And as a conservative, I really have a tough time telling somebody what they can or can't do with land they pay taxes on every day, and every day they get higher and higher. So I'm 100% in favor of giving them the extension.
Just real quick before I take another question, I have a comment real quick, Ryan, and I'll get to you. Let's say ComEd, in conjunction to what Mr. Johnson said, let's say ComEd can't connect. What is going to happen with this equipment if it's sitting there and it has nothing? What do you do with it then? I mean, let's say you complete your construction, you start in the spring, 8 months down the road, December, whatever it's going to be, and it's finished. And ComEd says, again, no fault of theirs, but let's say ComEd says we can't connect right now. We don't have the capabilities. What does it do then?
Well, I don't really see that happening just because ComEd has already done like multiple years of studies with not only our project, but the projects around there, because there are projects around there. And they've done the studies to make sure that the substation can sustain the amount of power that's being produced. So I don't really see that happening, but if they can't get their stuff together, we would probably just need to decommission the site, just like we would as part of the decommissioning plan that we've submitted. Or, there's also an agriculture impact mitigation agreement that we've already fully executed with the state that dictates, if this is idle for a certain amount of time, you have to decommission it. You have to bring it back to its original state. And I believe the decommissioning requirements of Boone County stay the same.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Curry. And then
as you know, I'm very against solar normally. Okay. I think this is a peculiar situation. And I agree with a lot of the sentiments that Carl said. If he had a bigger plot of land where he says 200 acres, 40 acres, I would never, ever support that. You have a smaller parcel. I think there's, a unique situation. One thing that pisses me off more than anything is when somebody says, I want to preserve farmland by putting something else on farmland. In my eyes, we preserve farmland by farming the land. I'm not saying you say that. I'm saying that in general. But I hear it all the time. And it's this added little notion so that people be like, coddle and more comfortably like, okay, go ahead and take that farmland. Go ahead and throw a bunch of stuff on it and take it out of commission. I'm 100% against it normally. I do support your cause. I appreciate the family business. I think this is a peculiar situation where I think it kind of fits. I appreciate you coming up here and kind of pouring your soul into it and giving it your all. I can respect that. So thank you.
Mr. Thornberry? Oh, sorry, sure.
I don't see CalMed ever having a problem with you because they're sending out letters to homeowners now trying to get them to go with solar because they're promoting solar themselves. But let's say you did have a problem with them. What's to keep you from going with Allergen or someone like that?
We have entered into a signed agreement with them, and so we're kind of contractually bound to ComEd right now for this site.
Does that mean they have to pay you regardless if it's their fault?
I don't know the contractual. We probably have liquidated damages. I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure about that, but I would be surprised if we don't have some sort of liquidated damages to protect us in our contract with ComEd.
I would hope so, because I can't see.
I would hope so too. I think our legal department would not let that not happen.
Ms. Branson, something?
Yeah,
I thought it was not.
It's hard for me to admit when I make a mistake, but I made a mistake at the finance, not the finance committee, the admin committee. And following that committee meeting, I received an email from our attorney's office here reminding us that renewal requests are not to be considered as a new request, that I have it in front of me, that the board should not consider a renewal request as if they were an original application for a special use permit, because the board has already found that the particular parcel of land in question is appropriate for the special use. And then it goes on from there to explain other reasons that you have. And at the previous committee meeting, I voted this down, and I voted it down because I'm trying to preserve the farmland with the higher Lisa scores. And I had the wrong cut score in my mind because we had just changed it when we rewrote the whole solar and ordinance for the county. And I just plainly made a mistake. And so I think that it's important that I also go on the record and admit that I made a mistake and explain why I'm changing my vote tonight. And thank the state's attorney for, giving us the information we need to do our jobs correctly.
All right, anyone else? I see no other discussion. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Brent Mueller,
No.
Brian Schneider,
No.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
No.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
That's it from the
That's it for administration?
administration.
All right, thank you, Mr. Larson, I appreciate it. Mr. Mueller, would you make your motions for the finance, please?
9.1, motion to approve the proposal from, I'm sorry,
Claims.
11-3.
11.3. I'm sorry. 11.1, motion to approve the claims with understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from voting on all claims presented by Williams Charles, Northern Illinois Service Company, Core and Maine, all claims submitted by the Boone County Highway Department, all claims submitted by any county department regarding sewage, stormwater, and construction and excavation.
Motion by Mr. Mueller. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Mr. Mueller?
Moving on to 11.2, motion to amend the Boone County Public Comment Rules and Procedure Policy as presented.
Motion by Mr. Mueller. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman?
Hang on, we got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
One second.
Second by Mr. Logston. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Sir, we don't entertain any comment from the public at this point, so we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Thornberry, did you have a comment on the motion that's on the board?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I disagree with this wholeheartedly, and I will be voting no, because everything that the speakers and during a public comment made tonight is true and factual. We are dodging when we should be cooperating. We have been using our equipment, if you want to call it our equipment, like the man said, it belongs to the public. It doesn't belong to us. And any IT man that says he can't get a system straight is not worth paying. And most of your equipment today comes out with virus protection already in them. The only way you're going to get in them is hack them, and there is nothing out there that's going to keep anybody from hacking them. But we have already set a precedent. We have been letting the public use this way before I ever got on the county board back in 2012. And now all of a sudden, because we got something out there that nobody wants to function with, everybody is scared of what they might have to see. And I don't see why we should be punishing the people out here who are bringing stuff to us, because we should have been doing our job a long time before. We should never have had to have people complaining to us about something that we should have stopped before it ever started. Now, we had two ad hoc committees and neither one of them have done anything. The first one, they presented us with a lot of stuff that we had to go back and correct because they didn't know what they were doing.
Well, that's ridiculous. I object to that.
Well, you can object all you want, but I got the floor.
Hang on. Mr. Thornberry, please finish your comments.
The present ad hoc committee is doing basically the same thing. We got laws out there that are already been established. And instead of addressing those laws, we're having a comment section that's going to take us another year and a half to finish because nobody wants to address the issue. And the issue is animal cruelty. We're going to push that way down on the bottom because we don't want to talk about that yet.
Point of order, how does this?
Let's stick to we need to stick to what's before us here, Mr. Thornberry. I understand your comments and I understand your compassion, but we need to stick to the rules that we're looking to adopt tonight. All right.
That's the reason we don't need to adopt them, is because we've already set precedent and let people use this all along, way back when.
Very good. I'm sorry, Mr. Curry. Yeah. Well, I didn't know if Mr.
New guy, first time listener.
Sorry. No.
I appreciate all the comments and the situation at hand. I think it was a mistake probably to allow Elisa to come up here and do that. I think that was an admitted mistake. I think some valid points were brought up by public comment. But at the same time, there's nobody saying that nobody can bring, they have these great devices that use our board and can hook up and play videos and do everything. Nobody's saying we can't play videos. We're just saying that, and nobody's saying this isn't public paid equipment. It's also our job to protect the equipment that the public pays for. So if somebody comes in here and jacks it all up, and we have had issues, this isn't something new. This isn't, we can have IT come in here and tell you about issues that we've had for years. Like, this isn't something new. This is, we're pointing the finger at an allowance and then making a deal out of it when it's not saying that you can't play a video or bring evidence or play it. I appreciate the evidence. I appreciate the videos. I learned a lot and I've changed my opinion on a lot of things because of them. We're just stating that you have to bring a certain piece of equipment and utilize that board, and you're allowed to in order to present. And that's all. So it's not against, nobody's infringing. Okay. Infringing on a First Amendment right. Okay. Nobody's telling somebody they can't speak, present, or do anything. We're just stating that you have to use your own piece of equipment, which are very cheap at Best Buy or whatnot, or I don't know, maybe even as a county, maybe we can buy something that doesn't hook up to our server and pitch in so that you guys can utilize it. Maybe that's the answer that we need. It's a piece of equipment that's $200 and something that doesn't hook up to there, that the public can come in there and use their 3 minutes to use that piece of equipment. So maybe that's some kind of a balance or a negotiation tactic that we can have where it makes everybody happy. So,
all right, Mr. Curry, thank you. Mr. Wiltie.
Thank you for
the second. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Curry, and I agree with you. The second bullet point in this changed language says the members of the public and county board members may use their own equipment to play audio or visual presentations during public comment. So there's no restriction of First Amendment rights. This equipment shall be set up prior to the start of the meeting in a non-destructive manner. No extra time will be given to set up or resolve technical issues during the speaker's 3 minutes of public comment time, meaning that's not going to eat into the three minutes. Now, let me tell you something. My son is one of the top-ranked cyber experts in the United States. As part of one of his tests, they gave him something to crack. He hacked the Pentagon. So whatever you think that somebody can put in the way as an IT person, it's not good enough. And he was under a Department of Defense contract to do that because they're trying to build their firewalls against the Russians, the Chinese, and whoever else was trying to do it. He hacked the Pentagon and got a challenge coin
from the Department of Defense that's shaped like the Pentagon, and a hat and commendations from the Secretary of Defense. Now look at if my son can hack the Pentagon, there's nothing that we can do to stop somebody from getting a virus into our system. Okay. And the second thing he did, and this was in the newspaper, there were 7 of them. They turned an F-16 into a flying brick because the Air Force gave them the opportunity to access that equipment, and that destroyed that aircraft. Technically, it's all about the continuing effort to get a step ahead of people that try to hack. So don't think that our IT department can just stonewall this. This is all about keeping our equipment from being compromised by jump drives, sticks, whatever. And it does not stop the person from presenting their own thing. But don't think that we can be better than these people that are trying to do what I just described to you, because those firewalls have to get harder because the sneaks and thugs internationally are getting better.
I thank you, Mr. Wiltse. Before I take any other comment, I just want to make mention to board members here, and I think Mr. Johnson, you can agree. How many of you guys board members have gotten emails from me asking if you'd help me with the problem? Can I see a raise of hands? Okay. I know that I used to get one from Mr. Johnson when he was chairman. Got several of them. So that's the concern here. This has nothing to do with First Amendment rights, I assure you. This has to do with voting, protecting our network. And Mr. Curry, you hit it right on the head. I just said last week that I think Best Buy has them for less than $100, $200. It's a simple cone you set there, it projects it on the wall, you can hook your laptop up to it, whatever, and we'd be more than willing to take a look at those videos during the 3-minute comment. So
that email, you don't have a problem?
I don't. Okay. Well,
making sure.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Thornberry?
If the county goes out and purchases that contraption you're talking about, I will change my vote to yes. But until we do, it's going to be no.
Okay, very good. Anyone else have a comment? Mr. Mueller?
Do we need to make an amendment to this that the county will? No. Okay. I
think it hasn't brought up it.
Just to satisfy Mr. Thornberry, I was just.
Anyone else? Ms. Branson?
I would really like to see our county go out and buy the equipment so that one person is buying the equipment, set it up, because then you got one person that knows how to do it, setting it up and getting it ready so that our public can use it, and keeping it private and separate from our internal system. And I don't see a reason why our public cannot just email you whatever they want to present, have the IT department go through it before the meeting, and it doesn't even have to go through the administration. It goes straight to IT. Let them just clarify it, make sure that it's wiped for viruses and all that the IT guys do, and then let it be aired. You know, I understand the desire to protect our equipment, and I believe we do need to protect our equipment. And honestly, I got to say, some of the comments that were spoken or reiterated back at public comment were very disturbing to me, because it does make us look very bad from a public standpoint, and that's not good. I don't know. I came in here wanting to approve it, and because it on the surface it looked very benign, but the more I think about it, the more I think it's going to create problems. Because even if you have to present stuff at the ZBA, does this apply to it? Because it's public comment during ZBA. I mean, it was just a few months ago, as a board member, I went down to the ZBA to present on the solar. And at that particular instant, I had to submit all of my stuff ahead of time. The county had a chance to have it emailed to them to know what it is, so that it could go out to the ZBA at the time and to work out the technical difficulties, to try and get it up on the screen. And as it was, we ended up having problems that night and not even using it on the screen. We used the old fashioned hard copies because we couldn't get it to work right. And I think just buying the equipment, because it's not a huge expense, setting it up and having it just for the public comment solves all of the problems right there. And if you do that, then you can implement this policy as written And the public doesn't have to have any issues with trying to go out and buy equipment and figure it out, because there's a whole lot of our people that we represent that don't have the technology skills to know how to do this.
Okay.
And we need to acknowledge that.
Are you okay?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Sorry,
I'm off my high horse.
All right, Mr. Logson.
All right, to Sherry's point, not all the problems, because I'm actually in this business. This is what I do for a living. So there's a couple things no one's talked about. It's like, how do we make sure that the broadcast is being transmitted to the YouTube, that the people that would be interested that aren't going to come here, they're going to watch it on TV, that they're going to be able to see it and they're going to be able to look at it and hear it and all that. And then you'd have to have somebody manning the camera to go that way. And then you'd have to have a live feed into your main board, which wouldn't carry any viruses, I don't think. Personally, I'm actually with Dara on this one, because if you just got the thing emailed to you, you could just pull it up on, whatever private server or whatever server we have, and it's not going to come in. It's not really going to be embedded in an MP4 file. So, there's a lot of things to think about if you're going to set up an ancillary projector on the conference table, which you probably have to leave there pretty much in memoriam here, because no one's going to want to, mess around with this thing. And then who knows what you'll do. You might say, well, you had time to present, but you couldn't get your act together. So, forget it or whatever. I would say if somebody really wants to show a video and, shock and awe y'all, I would just go ahead and review it. That way you'd have time to review it before it even came in the hopper here, to make sure there was no questionable content in terms of things that are illegal, okay? Not necessarily what the people want to show you, which, we all know what that is. So anyway, yeah, so I'm going to vote no on this because it's way too vague. But I think you guys could do it the right way. But like I said, logistically, it would be a little bit of it'd be a little difficult to throw something up on there. I've got 8 projectors I could probably just give you, honestly, but I don't think that's the right route. So I think making sure that it goes into the transmission so that everybody can see it and it's a nice smooth flow, audio and video wise. And it's actually part of the public record, rather than anybody having any questions or having to look at it from there. Maybe they can't see. If you work that out, I'm all in.
Mr. Curry, do you have something else?
No.
Anyone else? Mr. Larson.
Yeah, I concur with what Mr. Lawson just said. One of the issues I see with this is that there was video footage shown, decent quality, broadcast on the YouTube, and that became an official part of the record. If we just put a little projector on here and put it up on there and try to get a good quality video with a camera, it's probably not going to work all that great, kind of like Mr. Logson's just saying. Then I also see almost like two different standards here. A number of years ago, as a board member, I asked if I could have some photos added to an agenda showing something that happened in the county. And I was told, no, I could not do that. Another board member came, said they wanted to show some video. They were told, sure, go ahead. Somebody else in the video, I believe, was not in the county that was shown. Somebody else comes and says, hey, I have some video in the county that I want to show. They're told no again. It's two different standards. I don't think how this is written is what's the best for the county. It's treating all people differently.
Okay. Mr. Curry?
My question is, we have staff that are already very busy. So now we're asking them to now manage content for public comment. So we're adding tasks to employees that are already pretty thin. So who do we expect to, if these messages are sent there, are you guys going to come in here and and donate your time to filtering public comment on busy weeks? Are we just expecting to add more bullet points to our employees? I mean, what's for time management? Since everybody here doesn't work here full time like they do, we just expect them to pile more stuff on them. So maybe resolution to that first before we just add jobs to the people that work here would be great. So that discussion needs to happen, right?
Okay. Mr. Wiltie?
It's absolutely clear that content should not be a basis. I'm talking about viruses and problems. Whether we buy, as Sherry suggested, a unit that people can plug into that's totally separate from our system, or they bring it in, content is not a permissible way to look at this. So needs to be a way to screen it before it's shown, but we need to preserve the integrity of our equipment.
Ms. Branson?
I want to be clear that it is not about determining whether or not we're going to approve something to be presented under public comment or not. I agree with you totally. First Amendment says you can't do that, and we have to adhere to the First Amendment. When we also have to be consistent in whatever we do. Clearly, this is, in my opinion, this has got some things that need to be worked out, and I would move and send this back to committee in order to work it out at committee and then bring it back so that we can get this finalized and figured out and done right.
All right. Carla, Ms. Meagle?
Sure. So I just wanted to clarify that our office's opinion is that legally the changes to this policy are fine. Whether or not you want to make those changes, that's your decision. You can leave things the way they are. You can make these changes. Both are fine legally. The reason why, Mr. Larson had a very good point, the reason why our office, and in an email that was not read to the board tonight, the reason why our office recommended that you address this in your public comment policy is because we didn't really have a policy on this before. It was sort of at the discretion of the chair. I don't know who was chair when, people may have been permitted or denied the ability to do this, but it is good practice for the board, whatever you decide to do on this, to get it in your written policy. There is an important distinction to be made between public comments and people presenting, for instance, during agenda items during a board meeting. Those are two different situations. The board can elect to treat them the same, and the board can elect to treat them differently, or presentations given at ZBA. I have not been, since I've been here, I haven't, other than Elisa's presentation, I haven't seen, my recollection, I haven't seen video presentations being given during public comment. Doesn't mean you can't allow it, but it is when, for instance, a solar company comes in and presents to you on an agenda item that the board has invited in to give them information. It doesn't mean you can't treat them the same. It means you don't legally, you do not have to treat them the same. And this policy is fine First Amendment wise and all otherwise. And none of the emails that I am the FOIA officer for the state's attorney's department, and I am the FOIA officer who responded to the FOIA request. And I can assure you that every time I compose an email, I'm very cognizant of the fact that it may be FOIA'd someday. There's nothing improper in any of the emails that were read to you tonight. Thanks.
Anyone else? Mr. Larson?
Yeah, just one more comment here. Right on that screen is what's being broadcast on YouTube. It shows the projector screen. Can you see what's on that screen?
I cannot.
So anybody projecting onto that screen, nobody on YouTube or whatever you put the broadcast is on, nobody's going to see anything that's on that screen. I would also, I think this has to be discussed. I don't think this is done. I would support Ms. Branson's motion to move this back to a committee and discuss this.
Did you make that motion?
I did.
Okay. What was that? Would you please repeat that?
I think.
Actually, we would need to, no, yeah.
Yeah,
We
there's
need to
already a
move.
pending motion.
We already have a pending motion, exactly. All right. Any other discussion? Sorry about that. Mr. Wiltsey?
Mr. Larson makes a very interesting point, and that has to be investigated.
I didn't catch that.
He makes a very interesting point. If this is not discernible and someone gives up and they throw it on a projector board and it's not going to be able to be viewed by the public on YouTube or otherwise, that's a problem.
Anyone else? Mr. Larson?
How can we move this back to a committee to vote it no?
We have a motion on the floor right now. We have to.
On the motion.
Has it been seconded?
Seconded by Ray.
Okay.
Ray did.
There's already a motion on the floor to approve it. If it is not approved, it can always be an agenda item on a future meeting.
A point of order, there was a motion by Sherry.
I move to send it back.
Send it back. And he has just seconded that.
We have to finish with the
Seconded that.
motion that's currently on the floor.
No, you have an amended motion to remove and send it back to committee that would if that passes, that pending motion, in my opinion.
It's been done that way before.
I wouldn't consider Sherry's motion a motion to amend the pending motion. It's a motion to do something entirely different, but then it's certainly.
It was a motion to recommit to staff or for further study, if I recall, Sherry's motion.
Yeah, my motion was to send it back to committee for further discussion and.
But due to the fact that let's look at it this way, Madam State's Attorney, if you follow me on this. We have a motion on the floor in a second. Maybe you might want to motion to amend the motion that's before us.
Okay,
Point of order, I don't think that's appropriate. The motion that she has made is appropriate to refer it back to committee. And Mr. Larson has seconded to that, and that would send it back. It's like a motion to postpone or a motion to table.
Just give me a moment
We're
here.
gonna give the State's Attorney.
let me know what you need and that's what we'll give you.
Because I know, when I was on the board back in 2012, we sent a lot of stuff back to committee because we were talking about women.
I think I don't think that's the issue here.
Right, it's just to do it properly.
Right.
If you want to send it back, that's fine, we can do that, but I'm just wanting to make sure that, because it's amending a motion, we're trying to amend a motion, but not
It's not an amendment, it's a
substantively to the motion, if that makes sense. So let me just look.
Do we need to
Well,
vote on the first motion and then vote on the second motion?
My question is, if we go ahead and vote on this and we vote no on it, which kills it, you don't have anything to send back.
It can always address it. You can address it again because it's a board policy. If you voted it in tonight and wanted to amend it next month, you could do
We
that
could do
as
that
well.
too. Thank you.
I'm not saying that that's what you have to do, but I'm just saying because it's a policy, it can be always revisited by the board.
Mr. Johnson.
Wouldn't the easiest way be just to have the second removed?
We could always withdraw the motion, absolutely.
Withdraw the second, withdraw the motion, and then if the board agrees they want to send it back, we just send it back.
Right.
And we don't have to vote on anything.
That's another option. Motion.
Second. I made the motion because I'm the finance chair.
That's true.
So may I withdraw my motion?
Could. I do not remember who seconded it, sorry.
I think that Ms.
Well,
Branson can move that
Was it me?
that you table the motion.
Okay. All
What
right.
if you table?
Okay with that then?
Ed?
Yep.
All right. Motion by Ms. Branson to table.
It means it won't be addressed tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have that rule up. Is it need a second and
I believe it's a dual. Hold the dual.
A point of order. If there's a motion to table, there's no discussion once the second is made and there's a vote on it. But that kills it. It lays on the table. Nobody works on it. And I don't think that's what Ms. Branson wanted to do.
No, I wanted
A
to
motion
send it back to committee.
made and is seconded is not debatable.
Ms. Branson can amend the motion. She can postpone the consideration of it until a specific date. She can end debate. She can suspend further consideration of the motion, which is tabling it. She can make a motion for point of privilege, she can recess or adjourn. Those are the motions she can make while the current motion's on the table. If you vote this down, if you go ahead and vote on the first motion and vote it down, address it in committee next. That doesn't even require a motion. You can put anything, anyone can put anything on a committee
Agenda.
agenda.
Chairman, the chairman can put something on the.
Right.
Right, at the will of the board.
Right.
This can be revisited.
Okay, so let's vote it down and then.
In your motion, amend the motion and then send it back to committee.
I want to amend the motion and send it back to committee.
Motion on the floor to amend the motion and send it back to committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thornberry. We'll take a vote on the amendment to the motion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Okay, so that's the end of that. Okay.
Procedurally, we need to create a bigger.
I understand. No. Okay. We're ahead. All right.
All right, moving on to
Mr. Mueller, please continue.
Moving on to 11.3, motion to approve State's Attorney Kelsey Edwards purchasing card approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Curry. Any discussion? Seeing none? In favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries.
11.4, motion to approve resolutions 23-30 through 23-33, sale of surplus property.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider.
Yes.
Carried.
11.5, motion to approve amended intergovernmental agreement for law enforcement officer.
Second. Floor by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Curry. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Mueller?
All right, moving on to 11.6, motion to approve allocated of opioid settlement funds.
Motion by Mr. Mueller. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Branson. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Yes.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to 11.7, motion to approve Belvedere's landfill Solar 2 West LLC 1.5 MW AC solar facility decommissioning plan.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries.
Moving on to 11, motion to approve Belvedere landfill Solar 2 East LLC 2 MW AC solar facility decommissioning plan.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Mr. Mueller?
Moving on to 11.9, motion to approve resolution 23-34 in support of utilizing existing US Route 24 lane design.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, second.
Aye.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any discussion? Mr. Wiltsey?
I believe there was a public hearing tonight on this, which of course we can't quite participate in being here. So I would, if this is adopted, that we expedite a copy of that to the Department of Transportation and the Governor's Office and the General Assembly.
I would urge, along with that, I would urge everyone to contact their state rep in their respective jurisdictions and voice your opinions on this as well. Yes. Ms. Tobin?
Mr. Wiltsey, the public hearing is actually next Wednesday.
Oh, so next Wednesday?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
October 25th.
Oh, that's right. It's the 25th. My apologies. Yeah. All right, let's.
The flyer's on.
We get it to
We
him.
have not missed it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
that's the flyer that I handed you just before the meeting starts.
just held it up. Yep.
There you
I
go.
believe it's also
It's
attached.
right there on the
yeah.
screen behind you.
I got my one face mixed up.
Mr. Crone has,
Oh, yes, Mr. Crone.
those running skills.
Concur with, there was a little confusion on the wording. You know, if you read it over, it appears that we support the existing design. And I think that the recommendation that I concur with, that perhaps maybe we consider removing the word design and put in configuration at each end of the proposed section improvements.
Yes.
Someone like to amend the motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to amend by Mr. Wiltsey was a second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion on the amendment? Ms. Branson?
I have a question for Justin here. I was reading this over and the way I'm reading it is basically you're approving it as a 4-lane, the way it is, but without putting in the center medians. Is that what it is?
Yes, on each end of the proposed improvements, it is 4-lane with a flush median.
Okay, because at one point, when I talked to somebody down at IDOT, probably months ago, they were talking about having a divided highway with the center median, and they were going to put in a couple of places where you could make a left-hand turn out of your driveway, but most of it you were going to have to make a right-hand turn. But the neighbors were complaining about that, so they were ending up putting out one at basically every house along there. And so this that is in front of us tonight is taking out all of those medians. So it's just a flat road.
That's correct. It's in front of you is to design it as it is designed on both, as it is built on both sections of the improvements. And that's what we've heard from a lot of the members of the public. So I'm just relaying that information, I guess, through this. Yes. So to answer your question, it would be removing that barrier curb in the center, even though there are access points, and having a flush median so that the center lane can be used throughout the entire section as it is on both sides, both ends.
Gotcha. That's what I thought I was reading, but I just wanted to make sure I had it right. Thank you.
Mr. Woolver?
One question for Mr. Crone and then a comment. So this length of this road is approximately 3 miles. Is that correct, Mr. Crone?
I'd have to trust you, and I don't know for sure, but it sounds about right.
So whatever the distance is, well, I'll just frame my comments up that way. What we want in Boone County is what Winnebago County has, right? Their roads are designed, and I think that's what our county engineer, Mr. Crone, is trying to put in front of us, is that we have that continuation of that road design for Boone County, just as it is in Winnebago County today.
And I'd like to clarify, this isn't coming from me. This is just coming from the input I received back. So
Mr. Mueller?
The neighbors wanted that median.
Mueller?
On this resolution 23-34, it says supporting utilizing existing US Route 20 4-lane design. Shouldn't that be utilizing Business Route 20?
We have an amendment to that motion.
I know, but I'm just, because it's in here, it says US Route 20, and I was thinking it was down by Chrysler and all that. Shouldn't it be labeled as
Business 20?
Business 20?
yeah, yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right.
Any other comments on the amendment to the motion on the floor? All right, seeing none will be, the first vote will be on the amendment. So all those in favor of the amendment, both signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that amendment?
Clarification of the minutes says that's just not configuration, but also business 20.
Okay. All right, then we've amended the motion, so we have the original motion on the floor. It's been motioned and seconded. Any other comments, discussion? All right, seeing none on the motion then, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Mr. Mueller.
All right, moving on to 11.10, a motion to approve standing seam metal roof replacement by low bidder Buffalo Contracting in the amount of $48,598.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Wiltie. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Tom Walberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Patterson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Mueller.
All right, moving on to 11.11, motion to approve resolution 23-35 jurisdictional transfer of stone quarry beginning at south right of way of Chrysler Drive and extending south to DeKalb County line to the road district of Flora.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, is there a second?
Aye.
Second by Ms. Thornberry. Mr. Crone, could you address this issue, please? And then I'll take comment after he's finished.
Yeah, I wanted to, make this clear. This is different than what was brought to us at committee because of the fact that I was approached after committee by the township asking there was 3 options on board docs. And they were asking rather than us maintain the capital improvements that they wanted to pay or they wanted to be paid the lump sum of those capital improvements at year 0. And so, that's a very staggering large amount. So I did receive a lot of calls on that. So that lump sum of all future 1.5-inch overlays is $919,913. So that's almost $1 million. So that's, obviously a large number. Each overlay of that road, 5.7 miles, is $500,000. So that's in year 0. That's 2 overlays. It's as obviously that would increase over time. But so I just wanted to clarify that I did receive a lot of comments on that, and I want to make sure that was clear that this is not the same item that was passed through committee based on the township's change.
Mr. Wiltie?
So what is your recommendation based upon this different configuration or different option? I'm sorry.
So I can't object to the concerns that were brought up to me by board members. Actually initially I was in support of the option that we did pass in committee where we maintain the capital improvements and they maintain the roadway on a yearly basis, and then every overlay of that, which is a capital improvements that we would maintain. So currently, this is just to kind of back up and kind of lay the ground level on this, that there's 5.7 miles Stone Quarry Road that is county jurisdiction. And it resides, or it currently is in Flora Township. We have the jurisdiction. What I've been working on is to, just broadly is to increase our flow into the county, whether it's grants or other funding sources. The one mechanism that we can do that is by transferring some of our jurisdiction into the townships. And this is one road that we could meet that criteria. And by doing that, our revenue does not decrease on a county basis. Our expenses would if we turned it over to the township. The township's revenues would increase, and as well as their expenses. So, I think this is, a net positive for the area when you consider the township and the county combined. It's just to find that, where we want to put the needle at to make this happen. And I think that's what we've been working on, and that needle's been moving around quite a bit here in the past 2 weeks. So, to answer your question, I guess a little more clearly, is that, I do think there's some validity in not, in that $1 million providing up front. There's some different concerns with that. The one that, mathematically, to me, it's a wash and it really doesn't matter. However, motor fuel tax with electric vehicles, and a lot of different things happening, there's a lot of uncertainty. And so by paying an upfront, that uncertainty may be negative to put an upfront value on a road jurisdiction. And I would agree 100% with that. And that's therefore the other option of us maintaining that roadway as we do now for capital improvements is probably a better option.
Justin, do you think there's more discussion, more negotiation that needs to be done on this then?
I've attended a few township meetings, and there's different I don't know the answer to that. I guess there's, they're not all on the same page. And I think, what I would like to do, so I've been working on this for over a year now. And in order for us to make this happen, I had to get DeKalb County and Franklin Township to do the same process. They completed their process last month. I didn't think that they were going to do it that quickly. And so now, I'm trying to get this process completed as well. One other benefit too, with this that I need to mention is that as the city of Belvidere annexes down south of the tollway, when they annex a property that's adjacent to a township roadway, they take the jurisdiction. So if that develops into a commercial, with turn lanes and multi-lane roadway, the city would take jurisdiction if it's a township road. If it's a county road, we would maintain jurisdiction of a urbanized area. And that's really not consistent with our operations as well. So it helps in that respect too, to go through this process. So I strongly support doing this. And, the needle's been all over the place with respect to what the township is asking.
Yeah. Mr. Wahlberg?
So I support the transfer of this jurisdiction, like you've presented here, Mr. Crone. And I believe the road commissioner of Florida Township also supports the transfer of this jurisdiction, correct?
Correct.
The part that I disagree with is this upfront lump sum payment. I think that for best interest of the all members of Boone County, I think that's a lot of money to do up front. Obviously, we can argue that the costs are still going to occur. We've got costs coming up and all that sort of thing. But I'd like to maintain the county's control of when we spend our money and how we spend it. And therefore, I would like to amend this motion back to what was approved in committee, and therefore that we would pay for those roads at the time that they're in need of repair, whether that's 13 years or 15 years down the road. Because I believe that's probably more realistic than 18 years. Wouldn't you say that because we do such a good job in Boone County maintaining our roads. So that would be my amendment to this motion, would be to move that back to what you presented in the committee. And I don't really know how to frame that up exactly.
Second.
I'd like to add to that.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend the current motion.
Second.
Mr. Wiltse, by Mr. Wahlberg. Mr. Wiltse, you second that motion.
I did, and I have a comment if I may.
Please go ahead. I got you.
If as you described, and the local jurisdiction, if next by Belvedere, begins to take over sections of that road, that would be a windfall, substantial cash windfall for the road commissioner of Florida Township. And therefore, that's why I'm supporting Wahlberg's motion to leave it as it was in committee.
Right. Mr. Johnson.
A couple of questions. In Mr. Wahlberg's proposal, is that resurfacing that road or repairing that road, is that unlimited? So every 13 years, the county's on the hook to resurface that?
Twice.
Just two times?
Twice is what was
Just two
presented.
times. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So it'd be only two resurfacings.
Roughly, it's about $400,000 per time, so that's roughly 900,000.
Go ahead, Mr. Crowe.
So yeah, just to clarify that, so the, what I brought to committee, and then there's also an Irene Road portion of this too, that I want to make sure that is not glossed over, that I make sure I disclose. What was brought forth to the committee was to resurface, that we would maintain our capital improvement duties, which would be the resurfacing, for 50 years, no greater than 4 times. So for 50 years, we would maintain that capital improvements of that roadway, and no greater than 4 overlays during that period. And also finishing Irene Road from Cherry Valley up to where we left off, which is about 1.7 miles, and that's about $400,000. So that was what they were asking as well. Actually, I take that back. I'm kind of, I think that Irene Road was not, and I have to apologize. This has been such a moving target in the last couple of days. That may not have actually been, and that might have been added since the last. I apologize. That was added in this lump sum year 0 portion. I don't believe Irene Road was in there. You know what? Number 4. Yes, it is in there. So this is, but okay. So this is not committee though. So I'd have to check to see if that was in committee.
Mr. Johnson.
So this part of the Irene Road is what they were supposed to pay for that they've refused to pay for that now we're doing ourselves, right?
So yeah, so this part.
So they want to double dip is what I'm getting at. They committed to wanting to do something and then backed out, and now they want us to agree that it was good that they backed out.
So and then they want us. Section we did this year was the total contract was $489,000 after grants and other things. What the county ended up paying towards that was $110,000. The next section to finish Irene Road down to Cherry Valley, the 1.7 miles, that is about that I estimate to be about $400,000 cost, and I'm reasonably confident that I can get another $200,000 grant to pay for half of that. But then that would still be, we paid for 110 for the north section, if you will, and then for the south section, I would presume we'd be on the hook for no greater than 200,000.
So in this proposal that they set forth, they want us to give them $1 million. They want us to pay the $110,000 that they were supposed to pay that they refused to pay, but we still had to do the project. And now they want us to pay another $200,000 to $300,000 for more of their roads. Gosh, maybe we should just get rid of them and do the roads. I don't know. I like the proposal that Tom's got better, the original. The one thing I guess what happens in that scenario with the amended motion, if the city takes over part of that, are we still on the hook then? Or once it goes to city jurisdiction from being township jurisdiction, because our agreement's with the township. So if they take over half of it, city takes over half of it, then we're only responsible for that other half?
The way that the intergovernmental agreement, so this would not be we have a jurisdictional transfer. So we'd take the 5.7 miles and transfer it from county to township. And then we would have an intergovernmental agreement with the township where we would maintain the township's jurisdiction for an X period of time. And so if the township's jurisdiction changes based on city, that would not, we would not be on the hook for that because it would not be a township jurisdiction.
Okay.
Where does it say anything about?
So in my comments, I referenced
Don't worry.
2X. I thought the way the law stated when you transfer jurisdiction that it was 2 times the miles of resurfacing it. Am I misunderstanding that?
I'm not familiar with that law. No, I think that there are practices out there that are done that two resurfacing is common. It's not a law, but it's a common thing. So honestly, you know, $1 million is two resurfacings.
Correct. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So, but there's not a law that I'm aware of.
So that would be our agreement to resurface twice.
To pay you a lot of that.
That can be, sure.
I think that was my motion. That was what I thought we discussed when what's going on.
We've got an amended motion out on the floor. And amended, it's been seconded. We've discussed it.
I just want to make sure everyone understands what that
Please.
amendment is. And do we have the document then from committee? Is that?
I think if we went back to committee meeting agenda, it might be on there. I don't know that it's on.
Just so everyone knows what they're voting on, because that's what the amendment is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Finance, or was it admin?
That was finance.
Because you were not here at that.
Yep.
Last week.
They didn't want to do it.
There it is right there.
Because they knew that we had to do it.
It wouldn't be that document.
No.
This one?
Ain't happening.
No, that's just the resolution.
Yep, I think it's the second one down.
That's the map.
Oh,
Can't go back and ask for money after the money's already.
it's not there. And that's the layout of the, it is not, yeah. So, I mean, I guess, you know, technically, the document remains the same that we have on tonight's agenda. We could just strike items 3 and 4, I believe it is, and replace those with.
Started making money when
It was items 2 was the payment.
Okay, 2 and 3 then? Because Irene, it doesn't sound like you're.
Resurface and provide the means to resurface Stone Quarry Road prior to 2028, so.
irritating the chair.
Yeah, I think that we're definitely striking number 2 in my amendment. And that would be to be amended to state that we would resurface the road like you had suggested in committee for 2x, so twice.
Okay. Mr. Wiltsey, do you have something else?
Yeah, the intergovernmental agreement you referenced is not yet adopted. That's what's part of this package, right?
Correct.
So we're not protected by that IGA yet.
Correct.
I would stand with Mr. Wahlberg's motion.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
I would stand with Mr. Wahlberg's motion. What was discussed in committee. We don't even have the IGA approved yet, and this IGA does what we don't want it to do. $119,913 to the district.
So basically, the motion is to approve 2330, the amendment is 2335 with the terms presented at the finance committee.
Right.
Or is that not correct? I mean, that's what the motion is.
I almost want to say that we amend the IGA terms here tonight by striking, replacing those.
Yeah, that, I think, as Mr. Crone suggested, I think, Ms. Smith, that would be the best way to do that, to strike number 2 and amend it with 2 overlays of road surface, if you want to define that like it was defined.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Wiltsey.
We're talking about $1 million here. Maybe this ought to be held over to another meeting. I don't know. Do we have enough clarity from the staff standpoint and what we're doing here? Because we're now going to change the IGA and go back to the committee position.
I think it needs to be done.
Are we under any time constraints with this?
I would like to proceed with at least an understanding. Maybe if we don't have the IGA, then, you know, perhaps at least if I have something to go back with the township with, and then we can get the township to come on board with that. Perhaps they execute the IGA first, and then I can bring it back to this committee too. As long as I have kind of a direction from the board, then I can go to them. Yes. So yeah, if we don't execute this tonight, that's fine, but I would at least like to have some kind of direction.
Well, yes. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think to the point where I'm going with that is to not spend $1 million. So, I mean, what we're approving tonight is to move this jurisdiction to the township And so that's why I'm striking in my amendment was to strike number 2 or amend number 2 sentence to read that the county would pay for 2 overlays. And so that's going to occur over the next 36 years, or whenever that time frame there sooner. So.
I think just to be clear, we need to either strike 2 or we need to add that language to 2, strike it and add the language.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes.
Thank you for that advice.
Okay. And that would, just so we don't have to make another motion to amend, that is what was discussed at committee.
It is correct.
All right. I just want to make sure for the record.
And like I said, if we don't adopt this, at least if I can get a direction, if we don't approve this tonight, if I can just get a direction from the board, then I can go to the township and get them to approve it. Because I'm not certain that they're gonna, they were asking for here, and if we go back to here, I'm not certain that they're, this might be a done thing anyway, so.
Mr. Johnson.
What about number 4, where they're asking for Cherry Valley Road, or Irene down to Cherry Valley Road? What do you think on that, Mr. Crone?
I'm a road guy. I'd like to have improvements. Obviously that's a $400,000 project. So we already contributed $110,000 towards a road that's not in county jurisdiction. So now they're asking us to do, so that's $500,000, outlay without grant considerations. So, like I said, I'm a road guy, so I'd like to get it done. I think it'd be a great asset to get it done, but that's certainly something, the board to consider as part of this, I guess.
And that's something that wasn't in the previous, correct? It's something they added into this one.
They added that since committee.
Yeah. Let's say we left that in there. How do you see that affecting opportunities like this in the future with other townships?
They're setting a precedence.
Yeah.
We help townships by statute. We help townships with our bridge fund. We have certain statutorial relationships with them that we help townships. Certainly, this is something different. I don't know. I guess I think we can keep look at each situation separately and independently.
Would this would just be a one-time thing for Irene Road, correct? It wouldn't be like multiple.
Once we get Irene Road down to Cherry Valley, I think it's very unlikely that we certainly would have a very difficult time getting the same grant to go any further on Irene, just based on the road use and the trucks. So I think that would be, the situation would change at Cherry Valley if we were to take it down 1.7 miles. And that's pretty much where the trucks go when they're heading southeast. So.
Yeah. Mr. Thornberry.
Wasn't the quarries supposed to help with this Irene Road stuff?
The quarries did. They provided $130,000 check to us. So we did receive $130,000 straight from the quarries. So that's been invoiced and received.
All right, I got one other question on Florida Township.
He said they got the money for it.
A few years ago, they had a problem. They couldn't even maintain their roads because they didn't have the equipment. They couldn't maintain their equipment. And some of their roads went unserviced for quite a while due to their equipment problems. How is this going to affect them now?
That's a valid point. That's something to consider, that the county in general maintains a higher level of service of our roads than the township. So by doing a jurisdictional transfer, that's a valid point that maybe to be considered is that, perhaps the level of service of that road would, whether it's snow plowing or mowing or other things, we generally maintain a higher level of service of the township. So, that's a valid point.
Mr. Wiltsey?
So if I understand correctly, we should remove number 4 as well, unless we want to commit ourselves to that $400,000 improvement by 2028. And if there were grants and stuff, would we not be able to even ask for that if we are already agreeing to commit to do that?
Mr. Johnson?
I guess I would be willing to give Mr. Crone leeway to fluctuate that how he needed to, if that would seal the deal and to get it done.
Mr. Wahlberg?
I agree with Mr. Johnson. That's why I did not choose to strike number 4 because, like Mr. Cronin mentioned, I mean, we've already committed on the one half of the road. This just kind of finishes the road out to make it more worthy for the truck traffic going to the quarries. And therefore, that's why Mr. Cronin is able to possibly get another grant. I think he feels confident in that. So, you know, yes, you are looking at a possible $200,000 expenditure. But again, that kind of completes that road out and makes it worthy for, you know, we've got a lot of projects coming up in this area that are going to utilize that road for all that development that's going out in that corridor of 20. So I feel like it's a good investment for the county to make to have the best infrastructure.
May I suggest perhaps one option would be that the county does not contribute more than 50% of the project, and then the other 50% shall be through grants in township, and then that would limit our exposure on that project. You know, I'd be comfortable with that if.
Is that as to paragraph 4?
Correct.
I could make that as part of my amendment.
Friendly amendment to that, or?
Maybe we should vote on the first amendment.
Okay.
Yep.
To add, strike the language in paragraph 2 and add that the county would pay for 2 overlays.
Okay. Any other discussion on that amendment first? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
You can just do a voice.
You can voice vote on that one. I'm sorry, you're right.
On the
Yep. All right. All those, sorry about that, Giselle.
Okay.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, that amendment passes. So do we have another?
Now with respect to number 4?
If I could.
Mr. Wahlberg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make that motion just as we stated here minutes ago for number 4, that we would amend that to state that the county's exposure would be 50% of the cost of that 1.7 miles.
Mr.
Second.
Made an amendment to the motion again. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wiltsey. Any other discussion on this amendment?
You mean not more than 50%, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I misstated that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to be clear.
All good? Any other discussion on this amendment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, that amendment carries us back to the original motion now. Any other discussion as amended? Any other discussion on the motion as amended? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this, please?
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Ryan Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Snyder,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Mr. Mueller.
On to 11.12, motion to approve paying the highway engineer for his 160 hours of unused vacation time totaling $9,438.46.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, second by Mr. Curry. Any discussion? Just one comment. Use your vacation time, Justin. Please take some time off and enjoy yourself, all right? Ms. Branson?
When I was on the board before, I remember we had a judge who had accumulated a huge amount of vacation time. And we had to work with the judge because the county, when he retired, we didn't have the money to pay him. And eventually they got negotiated way down. But I thought at that time we had implemented a policy that says if you have vacation time, you have to use it by the end of the year or you lose it. Is my memory incorrect on that, or is that not already done and decided?
Go ahead, Becky.
I was going to say, you're correct, that is in the policy, but there's also a portion in the policy that does allow for payout if the funds are available. So there is a stipulation in there that does allow for this.
Okay, I don't remember that part, but it's been a long time.
Are we,
Anyone else? Mr. Thornberry?
are we implementing a policy where a person has to take at least half of his vacation in order to get paid for all of it?
We can
discussed that last time.
Yeah, we did, and I don't disagree with that. I think that could be a good option. We'll bring it back. It might not be next month, it might be December, but we could definitely look at doing something like that.
Did you have something else, Mr. Wiltie?
No, that was my recollection that staff was going to review this.
Any other discussion on this motion?
Mr. Wahlberg.
Mr. Wahlberg, sorry.
If I could just comment, that committee, I had presented to pay Mr. Crone half of this money. And not to,
Memory's a little foggy.
not to penalize him, but I just feel like just to as Mr. Thornberry's point he made, and again, the committee, that, people take a minimum 2 weeks vacation. So we're not setting precedents here, but the board didn't feel that way at that time. And again, it's, I like Mr. Crone, just like we all do. It's not about it's about what's right and what's fair. And so I just wanted to reiterate my comments, but I was the only one that voted that way at committee.
Anyone else? Mr. Wiltie?
I just would say that if we're going to make that kind of change, it needs to be prospective, not in effect for this particular motion.
Understood.
All right, anyone else? All right, seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, if you call the roll on this, please.
Dina Logston,
Aye.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Alicia Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to 11.13. Place the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget on layover.
Motion by Mr. Mueller. Do I have a second?
Hey.
Second by Mr. Thornberry. Any discussion, or Becky, do you want to comment on this at all?
Sure, I can. As you all know, we've been working on the budget the last few months. We've had all the department heads come and present. What you see before you is a draft. By statute, we are required to have a 15-day layover where the budget is available for the public to view. Because of the way our meetings fall, this can't wait until, your admin, because that's only 14 days until county board. So that's why you see it tonight. You can still make changes. We'll still have it on the agenda for admin meeting. We can still have it on there for finance. It just requires a layover. I'm welcome to, I'm happy to answer any questions. I did provide a little highlights just so you could see some of the highlights of the revenues and the expenditures and the levy. Anything I can answer, let me know.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Tobin? Anyone have any other discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Marion Thornberry,
Yes.
Rodney Riley,
Yes.
Brian Curry,
Yes.
Ray Larson,
Aye.
Brent Mueller,
Yes.
Brian Schneider,
Yes.
David Wiltsey,
Aye.
Carl Johnson,
Aye.
Lisa Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg,
Yes.
Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Dina Logston.
All right, motion carries. That it for finance, Mr. Mueller?
Yes, that is it.
Very good. All right, 12.1, special committee reports, community building, Mr. Loxton.
Okay, this is going to be a little short today. And the reason, well, I did attend the meeting and the meeting did happen. And it's a lot of the same stuff that we were talking about before. I would like to say that because I'm new and I'm a little enthusiastic, on a couple of occasions, I have let more cats out of the bag than I probably should have. And so it's been suggested that I do my reports after, like, what does this say? After their minutes are published. So I'm going to abstain from giving you a report today, so I don't make any more oopsies. And we can talk about what happened at the meeting after their minutes are published, if it pleased the court. Yeah?
Right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Logston? All right, seeing none, we have anything from UCCI this month? I don't think we do.
I actually have it under correspondence, just
Yeah.
a reminder for the conference.
I think we had to have our information in by now though, didn't we?
I think so.
Yeah. No problem. 911 board. Ransom, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, we had a meeting this morning and it was a rather long meeting, primarily because it was discovered that your 911 center is primarily ran through the public safety building. However, they also have a 6th Street location, which is supposed to be your backup provider that you can use, in case you have a problem, and it's supposed to be totally separate. However, technology has evolved and things have changed and been replaced and updated numerous times over the years, trying to keep things current. And somewhere along the line, something caused them to not be totally separate. Now they're all integrated. So what it means is if they have a problem, then it was discovered that if you have your 911 system goes down, like say in the public safety building, it also goes down in the 6th Street location, which is not good. So our county is looking at how to correct that situation in a cost-effective manner, because it can get very, very expensive very, very quickly. They're working with IT and we're reaching out to various providers of equipment and stuff to try and figure out how to undo what has occurred over time, because we really do need to have a good working system. And the other thing that I talked to you last time was called an Eagle View mapping system. Is that the correct name? Becky's nodding, yes. I got the name right. We were looking at that and it does not sound like that system is a good mapping system that will actually work well within the 911 system. So that's probably going to just get tabled, but other departments within county, I guess, are still looking at it. And I don't know what they will do with it, or if it will just kind of die out, because a lot of the funding was supposed to come from 911 and it just doesn't work with their system.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Branson? All right, seeing none, I accidentally skipped over 12.3 Community Action Agency, but I don't think we have a report from them. Nothing. Northern Illinois Land Bank Authority. There's nobody on the phone for that, is there? There's a written report attached. Any other committees? Anything? Okay. Next scheduled meetings, Mr. Larson. When is our next administration meeting?
Chairman, the next administrative meeting will be November 2nd at 6 PM in this room.
All right, Mr. Mueller.
Next committee of the finance will be November 9th at 6 PM in this room.
All right, and the next board meeting, full board meeting will be November 16th at 6:30 PM in this room as well. Any other unfinished business, informational items, the correspondence we've already talked about. Executive session, we don't need any tonight. So I guess I will entertain one more motion. Mr. Wiltsey.
To adjourn, sir.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Wiltsey. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Schneider. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The meeting will adjourn at 8:43 PM.
Hi, Benny.
Yeah, my wife, I'll get it for you. Don't worry about it. We'll get it.